When looking at Japan from afar, it's easy to see a vibrant nation, a place of cutting-edge robotics, ancient traditions, and impressively low crime rates. With the third largest economy in the world, a healthy population, and globally recognized companies, Japan often appears to be a model country. But beneath this shining surface lies a side rarely seen. Despite its achievements, many Japanese citizens quietly struggle. About 15% of the population feels disconnected, living in isolation, excluded from opportunities like stable jobs, marriage, or any real hope for the future. They are often referred to as the displaced generation, a group that highlights the deep cracks forming in Japan's social structure. This quiet crisis is rarely discussed in mainstream narratives about the country. In the 1980s, Japan was considered an unstoppable economic force, one that some believed could soon surpass the United States. The global perception of Japan then mirrors how many now viewed China. At the time, Japan's rapid growth alarmed U.S. policymakers so much that it was compared to an economic Pearl Harbor. Hollywood films like Die Hard, Rising Sun, and Blade Runner reflected a fear of looming Japanese corporate dominance. This explosive growth, often called the East Asian Miracle, was fueled by 3 decades of non-stop economic expansion. At the heart of Japan's success was a unique system that tightly linked major business groups with the national government. These business networks, known as keiretsu, were composed of large corporations that shared stock and closely cooperated with one another, backed by generous government policies and easy loans from the Bank of Japan. These alliances gained the power to compete globally as Japan surged forward with innovation and wealth. The government actively created barriers to prevent foreign companies from entering the market. Though some questioned whether the system was fair or sustainable, it worked for a time. Japan's stock market soared, and its products became global must. The popular belief was simple: get a degree, work hard, and you'd land a lifelong job at a top firm. The country seemed unstoppable until everything changed. For 30 years, leading up to 1991, Japan enjoyed consistent growth, becoming the world's second-largest economy. Just behind the U.S., real estate and stock prices also climbed to record highs. But by the late 1980s, it became clear that this growth was a fragile bubble. Confidence was sky-high, with many assuming the boom would last forever. The Bank of Japan kept interest rates low and allowed credit to flow freely. But in 1990, the bubble burst. The stock market crashed by 43%, and property values soon followed. The fallout was devastating. Consumer spending plummeted, business investments froze, and the golden age ended. Worse yet, the years after the collapse exposed deep flaws within the system. Corruption scandals surfaced, from rigged markets and secret deals to fraud and bribery. Suddenly, Japan's once respected economic model was under fire. Adding to the damage, the Bank of Japan's easy credit policies kept failing businesses alive. These so-called zombie companies, which would have folded under normal circumstances, were artificially sustained with ongoing financial support. Within just a decade, Japan's image shifted from being the economic giant of Asia to its struggling patient. While economic ups and downs are common worldwide, Japan's downturn had especially harsh consequences for an entire generation, many of whom never fully recovered. To understand this, one must look closely at Japan's unique work culture, defined by its intensity and traditions unlike anywhere else. In Japan, careers often begin with a formal recruitment process targeting recent university graduates. Large corporations typically conduct major hiring drives during a specific period each year. Once hired, employees follow a structured path, with the goal of climbing the corporate ladder into leadership roles. This model, widely embraced in the 1990s, still influences the job market today. While it offers predictability, it also creates rigidity. Those who stray from this traditional route find it incredibly difficult to re-enter the workforce. This lack of flexibility, combined with the aftermath of the financial bubble and the continued survival of failing zombie companies, left a generation disillusioned and economically stuck, deepening Japan's social and economic problems. In Japan, the best window to land a stable, desirable job opens right after university. Once inside a company, lifelong loyalty is expected. But missing that window, failing to enter the system at just the right moment, often means being locked out for good. This rigid career structure was severely shaken by the financial crash of the 1990s. During the booming years, landing a corporate job was relatively easy. But after the crash, Companies froze hiring and prioritized protecting current employees. When hiring picked up again in the early 2000s, everything had changed. Those who had graduated during the downturn were overlooked. They were no longer new enough for entry-level jobs and lacked the experience for more advanced roles. This left an entire generation stuck in limbo, forced into temporary low-paying work. That period became known as Japan's ice age of employment, and those affected came to be called the mismatched generation. The problem didn't end there, because Japan never fully bounced back. Newer graduates in the decades that followed began facing the same bleak prospects. The result, what many now refer to as the mismatched decades, 30 years of economic stagnation and widespread disappointment. This isn't just a minor issue. The mismatched generation makes up about 15% of the population, around 17 million people. Most are now in their 30s and 40s. Many still living with their parents. They lack the financial security to move out, marry, or start families. This bleak outlook weighs heavily on Japan's future, with a major portion of its workforce disconnected from both employment and social life. The country's sense of cohesion and vitality is eroding. Economies thrive on the energy of people in their 30s and 40s, those buying homes, raising children, taking out loans, and spending money. But in Japan, that vital demographic is shrinking in impact. And the economic slowdown is just one layer of the problem. Japan is also grappling with It has the highest percentage of elderly citizens in the world, with nearly 1/3 of the population entering advanced age. This trend is directly linked to the mismatched generation, which has had fewer children. By 2050, projections suggest that for every 1.3 working-age individuals, there will be one person over the age of 65, nearly a 1-to-1 ratio. Globally, elderly populations rely on the taxes and productivity of younger workers. But in Japan, this balance is dangerously close to tipping. And there's another growing crisis: the rise of the hikikomori. This term refers to individuals, both young and old, who completely withdraw from society, isolating themselves in their homes and relying on their families for support. Many of the first to exhibit this behavior came from the mismatched generation, now mostly men in their 40s. They were unable to meet the rigid expectations of Japanese society. Even younger generations, despite having job opportunities, are opting out, discouraged by the intense pressures of Japan's work culture. Today, it's estimated that over 1 million Japanese citizens live as hikikomori, a staggering figure that underscores a deep and growing social problem. Japanese authorities are well aware of the damaging impact the mismatched generation and the hikikomori phenomenon have on the country's socioeconomic fabric. While several strategies have been proposed to reintegrate these individuals into society, progress has been slow. A weak economy, combined with a deeply rigid work culture, makes resolving these issues incredibly difficult. In many Japanese workplaces, expectations are intense and unforgiving. It's not uncommon for employees to work long hours, sometimes up to 20 hours a day. Companies maintain strict hierarchies and often follow a lifelong employment model, hiring only once per year and promoting almost exclusively from within. This system creates major barriers for people seeking to change careers or re-enter the workforce after missing that initial window of opportunity. As a result, a growing segment of society remains trapped in this unforgiving structure, and the number keeps rising as more young people enter the labor market. Beyond these social and economic struggles, Japan is also home to one of the most notorious criminal organizations in the world, the Yakuza. Its roots stretch back to the 17th century, when samurai held sway over the land. During that time, a group of gamblers known as bokuto, living on the margins of society, began forming organized factions called rinko dantai. These groups followed a strict code of honor, echoing the discipline of the samurai. Over time, they evolved into what is now known as the Yakuza. Gradually, this underground empire expanded its operations, becoming involved in extortion, trafficking, and illegal gambling. Although the Yakuza's power has waned due to government crackdowns, stricter laws, and shifting public attitudes, their presence has not disappeared entirely. Even with many leaders behind bars and major operations dismantled, they remain active in more traditional sectors, adapting to modern times. The Yakuza has shifted its focus, investing in real estate and entertainment while maintaining its long-held values of honor and loyalty. For tourists, direct encounters with the Yakuza are rare. The group typically avoids drawing attention and operates in the shadows, focusing on areas like nightlife and property deals. Still, it's important to be cautious. The criminal underworld in Japan, yakuza and otherwise, continues to engage in human trafficking and sex work, two of the most profitable and troubling industries. Looking more closely at Japan's underbelly, the impact on street workers becomes clear. In many cities, it's common to see young people handing out flyers for bars and themed cafes, but what may seem like innocent advertising sometimes has darker connections. Some of these venues, while appearing legitimate, are fronts for underground activities, many of them linked to sexual exploitation. Foreign tourists, in particular, can be easy targets. On the streets, scams are not uncommon. One example is fake charity fraud, where people ask for donations to imaginary causes. Another involves tourist charmers, women who befriend wealthy visitors, enjoy their financial support, and then disappear. Some bars may lure guests with low-priced drinks, only to hit them with an outrageously high bill at closing time. Many of these schemes, whether directly or indirectly, are connected to the yakuza. One of their most lucrative revenue streams remains sexual exploitation. In well-known red-light districts, certain places masquerade as spas or bistros but secretly offer illicit services. Many of the women caught in this trade are victims of human trafficking, lured from poorer Southeast Asian countries by false promises of legitimate work. Still, it would be wrong to blame everything solely on the yakuza. The issue is far more complex. Some students turn to sex work to pay for school. Others are coerced or manipulated into leaving their home countries, only to find themselves trapped in harsh and exploitative conditions. Peering into these deeper layers of Japanese society reveals a reality far more complicated than the polished image often shown to the world. So, what other hidden aspects or social challenges in Japan have you noticed? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Until next time.